now not too many doctors would say, you know what, let's take a step back and see what's causing this inflammation. So we know that environmental toxins cause inflammation.
Right.
Tell me more about that, what you see in your practice.
So I like to do a whole panel that tests for heavy metals. We test for mycotoxins. We test for environmental toxins.
Right.
So very few times do I find that people have mold alone.
Me
They'll
too.
have mold, right? They have mold, and that's the major thing. But a lot of them have like cadmium, or they have a different heavy metal that's associated with that.
Exactly. It's
And
never just one toxin, never
just
never
one.
or never just one bug. It's not
No.
just Lyme or not just mold.
It's multiple ones, right?
Right.
So, and I find that they have a lot of either glyphosates or phthalates or different plasticizers.
Right.
We're using plastic so much in our society anymore.
Right.
So that can be a real issue for a lot of these people. And we have to detoxify them. So we have to kind of, okay, which one are we going to detoxify first? Because you don't use the same things.
Right.
Detoxify all of them, right?
Exactly.
So, you're going to have to use some DSMA, and you're going to have to use some EDTA. Right. We're going to have to kind of, which one are we going to use first? And so kind of playing that role. So I do Sears markers on everybody, and I kind of look at their Sears marker.
Yeah.
So, depending on what I think is more integral at that point to hit, that's what I'm going to detoxify first.
I always love talking to you because it's the same. We practice so similarly. It's fun, I do the same thing. Measure all those toxins and then decide, looking at their inflammatory markers. Oh, we're also we're part of Dr. Bruce Patterson's long COVID group.
Oh, great. Yes.
Yeah. And he has a great inflammatory cytokine test on his website.
Oh,
and
wow.
We're using that test now to look at people's inflammatory cytokines, not because they have long COVID necessarily, but because inflammatory cytokines are universal, whether you have long COVID or tick-borne disease or high environmental toxic load.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm looking
at all of those, and there are several different tests available, and even glycoaging. So glycoaging, glycans, you have inflammatory glycans or non-inflammatory glycans. They can actually kind of measure those now to see what is going on with those glycans. That kind of hits a different realm too. So I like looking at all that stuff.
Right.
It really helps to hone down the picture on what way I'm going to hit first.
Right. Where are we going to go next?
Right.
Right. People often want to start with killing the bugs first. I tell them, no, not there yet. We have to prepare you for that. Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even detoxify first.
Exactly.
Sometimes I don't always go for that first. I try to dampen the inflammatory response first. And the body needs a little bit of preparation. If you just start detoxifying them, you're breaking down more cells as you detoxify them. So they have to have some kind of semblance of being built and ready for that detoxification and for what's going to happen. Because when you're detoxifying, you're actually causing and creating some oxidative stress.
Right. Exactly.
So we have to undo some of that oxidative stress at the same time as you're detoxifying. So sometimes I get rid of some of the oxidative stress first, calm it down, and then go after the other things.
Right, me too. And oxidative stress is normal as a part of an initial inflammatory response. We want that at first, but we want that system to shut down. And our patients are stuck in this loop of oxidative stress. So I'm going to cut that loop and then come in detoxify.
Yes.
But I cut that loop with the peptides typically.
Yes, that's what we do. Those peptides work.
Right.
So that's what's so good about the peptides, is because you can cut that loop. So I use them in combination. If you have that loop that you're really needing to cut down, Sometimes I start with KPV and sometimes I don't. It depends on if I think it, where's that inflammation. And I'll just tell you my little hint on why I might start with KPV first. If they have high monocytes, because lots of literature state that monocytes mean bowel inflammation. So if we have bowel inflammation, that's pretty high. So if you have monocytes more than 7, you're beginning to have bowel inflammation. If you're more than 10, then you have a lot of bowel inflammation. So if they are at 12 or 13 on their monocytes, I'm probably going to start with KPV, BPC, and TB4 frag before I do any of the other ones. But then we'll kind of get to some of those other ones. But that's kind of my key I look for is what's that differential. If they have high basophils on their CBC count, high basophils is directly related to interleukin-6. So if you have basophils of 1 or more, you have high IL-6. Inflammatory cytokines are out of this world. And we've got to dampen that down. So that's kind of what one of the measures I look at, just one of them.